Happy Saturday, everyone. We're watching our powerful upper level low that brought the major snowstorm. As that starts to wind down today, that is going to set the stage for a major flooding event unfolding in Louisiana. So let's break down the details for you over the course of the next week. Here's the overall setup. There is our powerful upper level low still sitting and spinning in and around the Denver region, but you can see it's really taking that Q shape there and bringing it all the way further south. There is a cold front that's draped across this boundary, but there is Rafael. Remember yesterday morning we were dealing with a major hurricane in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico, but as we talked about, it's run into an intense amount of shear, and as it does, it's spreading the precipitation further north combined with this cold front coming in, and that sets the stage for a very saturated air mass over Louisiana. You can see the low pressure here setting up shop across western portions of Kansas. That just brings the funnel effect down there into the Gulf of Mexico. Although now this is weakened to a tropical storm, and it's in fact not even actually moving north. It's actually kind of drifting further south, but it's getting sheared apart. And as it does, it's spreading its tropical rains and feeding its moisture into Louisiana, Arkansas, Missouri, much of western Tennessee, and into portions of Mississippi today, out ahead of this cold front. And yes, we're talking an upgraded high risk for excessive flooding in and around from Beaumont. They're already having flood warnings this morning in around southeastern portions of Texas, and it's only going to get worse throughout the day, especially into the overnight hours, as yes, we have a rare high risk for excessive flooding. It could get really nasty with even some double-digit totals possibly as we all set this and done between now and as we head into tomorrow. So this could be a more significant event unfolding as the combination of the remnants of Rafael gets spread northward in the cold front, along with that system surging further northeast. Yeah, that's pulling in all the water vapor in from the Gulf and just dumping it over Louisiana. So you can see on the radar depiction this morning, yeah, folks, that is still snow flying in Denver. They had, in fact, 18 inches of snow. Incredible. The most snow they've seen in November since 1991, folks. That was a long time. You can see how rare that storm was that brought all the heavy snow for New Mexico. I saw one spot, 40 inches checking in Colorado. Very impressive snowstorm. But you can see the remnants as it winds down and fishtails all the way down into the Gulf. There we're getting the heavy rain into southeastern portions of Texas this morning, and that's already spreading its rain bands into Louisiana, much of Arkansas, into western Tennessee, and that's only going to get worse throughout the day. But look at these impressive snowfall totals, folks. Yeah, there's that 40-inch total checking in over the last 3 to 4 days total since this snowstorm started on Wednesday. Woo, it's been really impressive. It's starting to wind down, but man, this is definitely one for the record books and a historic storm for many places, especially there in northeastern areas of New Mexico where they had blizzard warnings unfolding. But yes, here's the setup as an increased water vapor pulls inland later on this afternoon, especially in the overnight. It's going to spread its heavy rains there into Louisiana, much of Arkansas, getting into Mississippi, as well as into western Tennessee, western Kentucky, areas of Indiana, Ohio. Even surge further north, lighter amounts on the backside, and then even surge some precipitation where they desperately need it. In Pennsylvania, I know Philadelphia is pulling in 42 consecutive days without a drop of rain, their longest drought on streak on record. We may get some help, folks. We may get some help tomorrow with the sort of the remnants of pulling that moisture back that way. That streak could be unbroken. It's nothing insignificant, but hey, a little bit to break the streak. So let's zoom in and see what we're talking about as that precipitation spreads and does weaken. We're not talking any impressive amounts whatsoever, but we are getting some much needed rain across this region, much of Pittsburgh, and there's your quarter inch possibly in Philadelphia. So yes, hopefully they can break that drought and start the continuation of start to bring some more rain opportunities back in the picture. But if we spread it out, obviously, it's not just Philadelphia, folks. Much of the Northeast is fairly dry, and it's been dry, and especially there in West Virginia, where they got an exceptional drought unfolding. So they're even going to get a little bit of an action here. Nothing drought busting, anything like that, but anything to help does help big time across this region. As we head into that Sunday, Monday, and it'll start winding down. So if we really expand the view and break it down between now and Monday, yes, we could have some excessive flooding unfolding today. So just be on high alert. You can't cross a road that you can't see the bottom. It is just not worth it. I know a lot of people are going to be out and about. There's a big game down there in Baton Rouge tonight. So yes, just be very careful, as be weather aware with excessive flooding that's going to unfold and then push northward into Mississippi, Western Tennessee, and there into Kentucky. And then of course, lighter amounts as you spread further north. But then once it comes on the backside, yeah, we got high pressure moving back in, folks. High pressure, sinking air, warmer conditions, just like we've seen the pattern. It's pretty progressive as it moves across west to east. And as we set the stage for Monday and heading into Tuesday, look what happens. So here's the setup again. We've seen this kind of time and time again. We've got more ridging building over the top, well above average temperatures across that region. There is the remnants of Rafael pushing further south, possibly into Mexico, and eventually winding down. But that will also set the stage for lower pressures underneath in the Caribbean. We're still not done with hurricane season. So that may be enough to actually lower these pressures enough to, yes, produce possibly even another tropical type system that may try to start organizing as we head into the middle of the next week with that setup. And yeah, look at the temperatures, folks. I mean, nothing normal about this as the surge continues. So, warmth across a good part of the country. Yeah, you got this little bit of a cool down, but it's not going to be much. 5 degrees up here in the Northeast. That'll be pushing through. So yeah, those well above average temperatures for this time of year just continue into the month of November, but that will actually set the stage for that lower pressures underneath. So here's the overall European guidance. Of course, this is Rafael here, but this could be Sara down here into the Caribbean, south of Jamaica, basically where Rafael came to fruition. We could be yet looking at a potential another system, because we already have an 80% probability of the ensembles kind of hinting at, especially with that high pressure over the top, the ridge over troubled waters that happens time and time again, and brings a more, possibly another little low pressure trying to form a tropical entity. Even the GFS ensembles kind of implying that this is the area to watch. Nothing highlighted on the NHC right now, but that would be your next probability area where they're going to be highlighting, especially as we get into the middle of the next week, because there's definitely the setup for it with areas of low pressure starting to form down into that region, because this is where all the high ocean water content builds. Not only at sea surface temperatures are still cranking at 90 degrees this time of year, but down below, half a mile down in the ocean, we got deep ocean water content. That's what really fuels these storms this time of year. That's why this area is the most favorite area for storm development, because outside of this, you kind of have cooler waters. You got cold fronts coming in. This is kind of the hotbed, the areas to watch, especially as we get later in the season, month of November. We still got through, the end of November. And it's not out of the question, folks. I did my research in December. Although it is rare, we had 17 storms since we've been tracking these things since 1851. So it doesn't happen every year, but every 1 out of 8 to 10 years, we even have a tropical system, even in December. So it's not out of the question. If it's one of those years it could happen, it would be definitely this one, because this seems to be a late season. It got started, light, and it's ending strong. So yeah, don't rule that out too. But yeah, we may not be done with tropical season after Rafael. We may be dealing with Sara by the time we head into, maybe late next week. So we'll be watching that. But over the course of the next week, we're kind of in a transitional week where the pattern more or less resets, right? So you got high pressure building in across a good part of the country, a lot of sinking air, more zonal flow type setups start to unfold. So we're going to be looking at, above average temperatures really for much of the week across a good part of the country. There's a snowpack still lying on the ground out there. And then any little cooler anomalies, which is not that cold, it's just more or less average, possible over the course of the next week there into the northeast with that little mini cool front coming in. But overall, with that, it's going to be a dry work week ahead. So yes, we got the rain and the storms for the next 2 days for your weekend, but by the time we head into Monday through your Saturday morning, this is what it looks like across the country, with high pressure pretty much dominating over a good part of the country. You got your normal areas that bring rains this time of year in November across the Oregon and Washington coast and Northern California. Outside of that, you've got a little bit more of a zonal flow taking shape and a drier period ahead over the course of the next week. It's not until we get to the following week where another maybe bigger setup starts to unfold. By the time we head into next Sunday, we'll have a more significant trough again building into the west. Those areas start to get cold again, even colder than what they are going to be up for this upcoming week. But that will also set the stage for yet another area of low pressure setting up shop across the Four Corners regions, possibly Colorado again. New Mexico gets hit more snow. And yes, that will bring rain and storms back across the middle part of the country by the time we head into Sunday. This would be next weekend, the 17th time frame, as we'll be watching a pretty good low pressure centers trying to form there into New Mexico, a little bit of a colder core again. And that will set the stage for more severe weather across the middle part of the country, more heavy rain across the middle part of the country, and snow into the Rockies, into New Mexico, into western Kansas. Some of the same areas again would likely get hit again going into the following weekend. So guys, I appreciate you guys watching. Do like this video, definitely hit the subscribe button, and catch the next update. Wire protect you before and after the storm.